9 o'clock, so let's get going. Good morning, everyone. I call to order the SORTA Board of Trustees meeting for Tuesday, May 23rd. Is it already May 23rd? All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we are going to start with a special presentation. We, the board, we're all volunteers, right? Because we love the community and love what transportation can do in getting folks, like we always say, to jobs, healthcare, education, and things that enhance quality of life. And so the work we do here is important. And we've talked a lot about all the great things that are happening. That the work that Daryl and team are doing continues to get rave reviews across the nation in every transit magazine or show and things like that. And what we're doing now is the result of a lot of great work by a lot of people over the years. I look back when many of us joined the board and we didn't have any money, and instead of expanding service, we were cutting service and having to deal with that every day. And so a lot of hard work went in. And so one of the folks that really helped us get through that work is here with us today. She was the chair of several of the committees, right? Finance and infrastructure. And so I would say when Heidi Black joined us, we were not nearly as strong as we are today. And so much of that is a result of what she does and her connections in community, her care. And she really is one of those board members that put a lot of work into it, right? What we drive is a result of the effort we put in. And so Heidi certainly did a lot to help us get stronger financially, get deeper in the community, and to get Issue 7 passed. So I want to say congratulations and thank you to Heidi and present her with the Royal Coach Person Award. Absolutely. Here. So I want to read this for you first. So, okay. Know ye by these present that Heidi Black has, by dint of effort, inspiration, and commitment to the development and betterment of public transportation, has been selected for the honor of Royal Coach Person by the Southwest Ohio Regional Transit Authority on this date, May 23rd, 2023. Get this out of the way.
You guys mind if I do a group photo?
We do need a group photo.
I get to get in the middle, though.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. I want to say thanks to everybody. I know you love that guy. Heidi wants to say a few words.
Tried really hard to just sneak out. No, I mean, serving on the board for 6 years was the most incredible experience. If you all know what I do for my job that actually pays me, I work with 70 communities across the country to improve education and make it more equitable. We work to change policies, practices, resources, and power structures. And so I get to go all over the country and help communities change their system. And this, being on this board was like where I actually got to step into Cincinnati and make a difference. And it just was an incredible 6 years. And man, oh man, to go from having to come into every board meeting worried about what line you have to cut and who's, you're making people's lives harder to get to where they need to go, to where we are now, where you all are unveiling, I can't even remember what it's called, but I want to call it thank you, Metro Now, Uber for Metro. It's just really incredible. And it was just really amazing to be a part of it. And you're all a group of incredibly dedicated humans, and the staff is just unreal. So thank you.
Thank you. You have a lot. Thanks. And Heidi, I think, was one of the few people that was appointed both by the city and the county. So everyone loves her, and we love her. We wish her all the best. Okay, is Jay here? Do we? Okay, we'll do it. Okay. Hearings from citizens. I think we have one citizen that wanted to make public comment. Casey Irvin, do I have that right? Welcome. Sorry, I went too fast for you.
Now comes the fun. All right. Good morning, members of the SORTA board. My name is Casey Irvin, and I live in the Mount Washington area, which is serviced by the 24 route. Since the beginning of summer last year, I have been bringing my electric scooter on board various routes like the 24, the 11, the 51, and the 78. On the morning of the 14th of May, I rode my scooter up to the bus stop at the corner of Beachmont and Corby, waiting for the bus to show up to take me to work in Hyde Park. I started to board the bus, was getting ready to pay my fare, when the driver stated to me that this was not allowed on the bus. I asked her what did she mean by that. She proceeded to tell me she had an incident the day before on another route where someone tried to get on with a scooter. I'm not sure if it was a personal one or if it was one of the rental ones you see downtown. Lost where I lost that. Okay. But a supervisor had told him that they cannot board with it. I asked her to call a supervisor to the location. She did. I got off the bus and myself called dispatch to explain what happened. They sent the same supervisor out that the driver had already requested. And I waited about an extra 10 minutes while I believe he was on the phone with his bosses in the Kroger parking lot. He proceeded to come up to the bus stop and stated to me that per the Metro Vice President that scooters were not allowed on board because they were motorized and because of the battery. I've been hearing from other drivers that they've been allowed on, and this past Sunday, a driver on my way home on the 24 stated that Metro sent out a directive years ago allowing these on the bus because there are certain areas buses can't get to. For example, with me, I live in Mount Washington. I'm on the 24. I ride to Mount Lookout, get off, and scooter to Hyde Park Plaza. What I'm trying to figure out is that Wednesday and Thursday when I took the bus with my scooter to that Sunday, what was the incident that happened that the driver proceeded to tell me these couldn't come on? It folds down, it powers off, it doesn't take up any more space than a stroller or a four-wheel grocery cart that I sell in my hardware store. Got off. Let's see, I was a Metro driver. Okay. What I'm trying to figure out is between the board down to the drivers, can everyone get on the same page, whether they're allowed or not allowed? That is what I'm trying to figure out. Like I said, it powers down. Just like before I started to speak, I folded it up. It powers off. Thank you.
Thank you. Was there any other public comment? We only had the one. Thank you, Mr. Urban. No? Okay. The couple things from, I would suggest that that's worth investigating, right? I believe the actual rule is that they're not allowed, but I think it's worth having it talked about and investigated, maybe brought back to the next board meeting. I would suggest talk about the pros and cons and why it isn't in the other. Usually, right, these things are more complicated than we think when we first start. So I'd ask the administration to do that.
Absolutely.
Okay. And on a similar vein, last week we had some discussions came up around from the National Federation for the Blind, folks talking about the speakers on the bus and things like that. So John provided a response that I can read, so he doesn't have to. But we certainly thank folks for bringing our attention this issue that we've had, and we really like input into process improvements. In 2022, we had revised the inspection procedures for ADA-related equipment on the fixed route buses, including new and multiple diagnostic technologies. We've discovered a training issue among our technicians and supervisors regarding some of these new steps, which resulted in some deficiencies in the external route speakers. So the action plan currently is a full audit and inspection of the entire fixed route fleet. As of the May committee meetings, we are about 2/3 of the way through these inspections. We do know that we're finding some issues, right, and addressing them as they come up. I think am I reading this right? We've had about 17 of the buses had issues that we found so far.
That's right, we're up to about 16%, and all faulty speakers have been replaced.
Okay, so as we find them, and we'll continue to audit and double check. So they're replacing every faulty external route speaker and reconducting training or conducting retraining on the diagnostic procedures. And I would suggest, right, that I know we're also asking folks, it's one of the things operationally I think we've suffered from, right, is that for years we didn't have money, right? We were talking about that with Heidi. And so we probably allowed some things by, choice of where resources could be applied to maybe not get addressed as fast. And so maybe we haven't always, folks aren't bringing up issues as fast as they should. And so we're continuing to reinforce, right, that if there's issues, let's address them. If there's things that aren't as they should, let's address them. Let's get them on the list and get them taken care of. So appreciate everyone that brought that to the attention. Appreciate the staff responding quickly. And hopefully we'll continue to improve the service we provide to the community. Questions, comments? No? All right. Thank you. I want to talk a ton about Metro now, but we're going to let Daryl do that later. It's exciting, and I'm giddy. That's great that we're continuing to expand the service and meet the promises made through issue 7. First order of business today is the approval of the board minutes from April 25th, 2023. The board minutes are on your screens and are in your packets, so hopefully everyone's had a chance to review. I would move to approve them.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Driehaus. Approved and seconded. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. The minutes have been accepted. Sonia, how was Finance Committee?
It was great. I'll give you guys a summary of our Finance Committee. First, we had our internal audit report presented by Clark Schaefer. We had our first completed report for 2023. There were 3 observations from that. One was moderate, one was low, and the other one was informational. Overall, it was a very clean audit with no major opportunities for process improvement. Our second was an external audit from Crow LLP. We implemented process improvements from 2021. The impact from that was we got our audit done 3 months earlier than last year. So that's huge. We definitely want to thank the Finance Committee for that.
Wake up, everybody. That's it.
There were no significant issues with that reporting. Bottom line was that it was an unqualified, clean option. We also had some more good news. Metro received a Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting in response to the 2022 financial audit. So Larry and your team, great job.
Well, come on.
This was the 3rd consecutive year for that award. Our fuel hedging report strategy was year-to-date $400,000 in savings. 12-month rolling hedge commitment stands at 83%. The financial report was next for April 2023. Ridership continues to trend up. Fare revenue was comparable to the prior month based upon the number of days. Our operating surplus was favorable to budget for the 4th consecutive month. One thing to watch out for was that the sales tax were under budget, and that was the first time that happened. Next was the investment fund strategy for April. Investment portfolio, it continues to grow. Capital revenue obligations are covered, and our full year outlook remains very strong. And that's our summary.
Thank you.
What was the gap between the projected Hamilton County numbers and what we expected to get?
Do you have that? I don't have that in front of me.
What was the gap
Well-
between the Hamilton County actuals and our projections?
To Metro was 375,000.
So the question, if you couldn't hear in the back, was how much was the shortfall county, the sales tax revenue? So I think that'll probably get covered in the financial report, so thank you. One question I have for you, I know we've talked this hedging strategy, right? And I know we're on the low side of what's in the guidelines. We talked about having those folks come in and kind of just give us an update on their thinking. Is that something we can get scheduled?
Yes, we can reach out to the service provider and get them on calendar.
Okay.
Maybe have them come to a planning and ops or finance.
Yeah, we'd love to see them. Right? But it's good we continue to, stay ahead of the game there, so thanks. No action items? All right. When Rod was there were so many action items. Mostly a result of Rod, I think, but anyway, so. All right, then, thank you. Your first one, right?
Yes.
All right, good job, so. Mr. Etheridge.
Thank you very much. We had what I'll say is a spectacular planning and ops meeting.
About 90 minutes?
I'd say 80. And the reason was there was so much good to talk about. And the reason is not just good, it's spectacular. And several were talking at the end of the meeting about this. There are things that we've been working on for years that people like Heidi, who led us on, and Brendan Gull, and a lot of other board members that are just coming to fruition, coming to be successes. And then we have lots of things that are happening now or shorter term, and they just kept all building. And I think everybody felt really good. So we had our silver awards. We had Khaled have a day dedicated to him by the county, which is absolutely amazing. I don't know if you're going to talk about that. And well deserved. John Edmondson is now a certified public procurement officer. We had staff at the APTA Mobility Conference giving presentations, which is amazing. We have a new steer committee to get citizens involved. We have Bike Month, we have Metro Now, we have Metro Cares. Like, I can't even talk about all these things in detail because there's so much good. But I think when we see like DBE numbers over multiple years, going from 72,000 spend in 2019 to 4.3 million last year, 2.3 so far this year, like that's what takes it to the next level. Like, dedicated work paying off. Now we have good ridership too. We have productivity that's outpacing peer organizations. That's great. We do still have some missed trips. We have some challenges in the ridership report. And so it's important to note that, but they're half what the peak was, trending down, and we're gonna keep going down. There are obviously industry headwinds and overall economy headwinds that make it hard. A growing concern is OTP, which has been declining, and so we're gonna have to keep an eye on that as well. Again, we're doing great, but we can always do better. And we had a nice presentation on reinventing Metro, and I recommend anybody who hasn't had a moment to go through that, to go through it, bring up questions, new ways at looking at what we're achieving there. And it's travel time and the breadth of accessibility at lower travel times that are being realized. So we talked frequency, span, that kind of thing, but this made it more on an individual level. How does it affect somebody's life? Sure, graphs, fancy diagrams, but that's what it came down to. And so it was a spectacular meeting. We had 3 items out of it, and I would like to move that we adopt them all on the consent agenda. Real quickly, item 432023 is for janitorial services for the transit hubs. It's up on your display, 452,000. Item 52223 is for maintenance uniforms. And I forgot to mention that we got the Best Dress Award from the National Association of Uniform Manufacturers. So a little bit of pressure on this procurement to keep pace. And then item 612023 is for our street teams for 145,000. Back to you, Mr. Board Chair.
So you're moving to.
I did move at first.
Second?
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. Any questions, comments? The only comment I would have, I know the uniform one particularly, it seemed like we asked 400 people to bid and we have 2 or something like that. So I I want us to continue to think through, Sorry, I thought it was, we continue to get a low percentage of people responding to some of our RFPs. I want us to make sure we're continuing to look and understand why. I think the results are still good, but it always amazes me. Even here in town, right? We're right down the street from one of the largest uniform manufacturers in the country. They weren't interested, so I don't know what that says. But let's keep focused. But otherwise, any other questions, comments?
Ms. Taylor? Yes. Ms. Sheets? Yes. Mr. Metz? Yes. Mr. Cassie?
Yes.
Mr. Harris? Yes. Mr. Hinton? Yes. Mr. Dreehouse? Yes. Mr. Etheridge?
Yes.
And Ms. Clark?
Yes.
The resolutions were passed.
Okay. That's it. Yeah. Thank you. It is great news, and it's exciting, all the things going on. And you're right. If the first 30 minutes are just, patting ourselves in the back, it's kind of great. But good work, and thank you to the team. Next action item was around the schedule of meetings. We reviewed this quickly at the end of last month. So this was a couple of things, right? Starting the meetings, I think, a little bit earlier, 30 minutes earlier, and then having the ad hoc meetings on Thursdays as opposed to Tuesdays, because this challenge we get to that if we have long meetings, by the time we get to the ad hoc meetings, everyone has to go back to their day jobs, and we end up having Gwen by herself voting on things. And then the continued for the SORTA board, full board, alternating between mornings and evenings to make sure more and more people can participate. So I know I kind of rushed this last time. It came in at the last minute. Hopefully folks had a chance to look and think about it. Any comments, thoughts, complaints? Rod wanted to start the meetings at 10 as opposed to 8:30.
No, I'm the early guy.
Okay, he's the
Craig,
early
Craig,
guy.
I'll let you get my kids dressed and out the door for that.
Okay, great. Just bring them over the night before. It'll be easier that way.
Perfect.
I propose that.
Okay, Rod proposes 7:30. So I don't know, any thoughts, comments, or?
Yeah, I would like to keep finance at 9.
Okay,
And then,
okay. Do we need, I don't know, what's the right process? Do we vote on the 8:30, turn it down and go to 9? Or how do we? It says 8:30 on here's what, yeah.
From the,
Oh.
Can we just amend this word?
Yeah. No.
I did not. I was
No.
trying to get some conversation. All right, you're the chair, so you should have 2 votes on this. But so let's vote on.
From the planning and ops side, though, like, it would be nice to move it earlier so that we're not here as late, so that we can get to our other responsibilities.
Right, and
So
that's.
if you wanted to flip flop, I would jump
Ooh,
all of that.
okay.
Now I'm just, you wanted us to talk.
I did. I mean, my main goal is I think it's better. My personal belief is it's nice to get it started and out of the way so that it doesn't, because you can't control when it ends as much you can control when it starts. But so for me, starting at 8:30 is what I would love to see. So if we want to flip flop on that, 6-1 to me, really.
Yeah. That's probably up for other board members' commentary. The problem is that planning and ops often goes longer.
Yeah, that's-
So that introduces the problem. So it makes sense the order they're in.
So then you just adjust the planned start time for finance.
Right. It just can't start until the other's over usually, right? But
you know what? I'm fine with keeping it that way. I forgot my son will be driving next year. I don't have to get him to
all
school.
right. So and he could pick up Pete's kids.
And mine. I need a pickup too, because
That's
that is not gonna work. That's so cute.
All right.
And
Then
one
I-
other comment I had on this was
Yeah.
there'd been talk about a retreat or a longer meeting. If we could plan that in a month where we didn't have ad hoc Thursdays,
Yes.
That would be nice.
Okay. I have that Chanel in the notes. So then let's go ahead and vote as proposed. So I would move that we adopt this schedule as presented. Thank you, Rod. I was waiting for somebody to pick me up there. Properly moved and seconded. Any other comments, questions?
This is voice vote.
All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say right. Weren't trying to steamroll you there, right? Okay. All right. Great. We'll have this work, and we do need to get that retreat scheduled. I know it's been hard to get on everybody's calendars, but I agree. Let's not do it when we have multiple other commitments during the month. Okay. And so everyone will cancel their summer travel plans to make sure we can make that meeting. Okay. 2 other resolutions. I guess these didn't go through committee. Is that right? Larry, do you want to update us on these 2? Right. This is the increase in the reserves, or who does it? Oh, Andy does. Oh, sorry. Larry's the one that called me about it. Effectively, right. We committed last time to put money aside for the BRT work, the design work, right? In the amounts that we committed to, we kind of did enough for one project. Is that a fair way to say this? We need to commit to both.
The first round of resolutions basically took the approach that the board was authorizing Metro to spend up to $36 million covering both corridors. We subsequently have received feedback from the FTA suggesting that the way that we brought that resolution forward is not going to be compatible with their objective of reviewing our proposal in a very positive way. And so they've specifically requested that we set aside the $36 million to cover project development costs for both corridors. So setting aside implies that the money that we've got in the bank will effectively have to be earmarked to accommodate any spending associated with project development on the 2 corridors until such time that we are ultimately received approval from the FTA and can apply for reimbursement of expense.
Or if we don't get approval, we
would pull it back in.
Right. Okay.
Right.
So it really is it's just setting aside the money that we've already set aside more formally than we did in the language, I guess. Is that a safe way to say it?
Yes. Yes.
Thanks for bringing this back up. So is it delineation and allocation to those 2 projects in this?
So previous conversation, we had always queued up a significant portion of our cash position to accommodate future expense. What this does is really obligate the money now as opposed to down the road.
No, I understand that. But there's one for Harrison and then there's one for
Hamilton and one for Reading.
Yep.
and they're, okay.
There's 2 separate resolutions to accommodate the differences in project development costs between the 2.
But it's the same total. It's just more specifically.
That is correct.
Sorry.
We had 2 separate resolutions previously. We just did not call out a set-aside figure for either corridor.
Right. Although in my perspective, we've effectively done that by the other reporting that we do. That's the reason the money's there. So I would propose approval of both these that I think are consistent with the intent that we did previously. So I'd move that. Get a second if you want to talk about it. Second. Thank you. Comments, questions? It's a lot of money. But this is the
Are
discussion.
these revisions of the previous resolutions, or are they new resolutions?
There's 2 new resolutions to accommodate the change from the FTA.
That addresses Reading and Hamilton.
Well, just the numbers.
To the old resolution that's been approved.
Change from commitment to set aside.
Is this written in a way that it supersedes that one? Or?
This is a different resolution. The resolution we passed before just committed us to setting aside money to do this. This actually sets aside the money, yes.
So it's the next step, I guess, in the same concept.
Okay.
I'll also mention that the FTA has also asked to come down. They actually want to go out and ride the corridors that we're building BRT. So that is also very positive feedback from the FTA that they want to come see the corridors that we're going to build BRT on.
So I apologize for my inarticulate description of what this was, but effectively it's the same thing we did before, just a little more intentional, I guess, to meet the needs of the federal government. But it's exactly what we intended to do in my estimation. So if no further questions, then we.
Ms. Clark,
Yes.
Ms. Taylor,
Is there language?
Yes.
Mr. Hinton,
Yes.
Mr. Harris, Mr. Metz, Ms. Sheets, Mr. Etheridge,
Yes.
Mr. Dreehouse,
Yes.
and Mr. Cassie.
Yes.
The resolutions were passed.
All right, thanks for the cleanup and the enthusiasm for the BRT project. Okay. Hey, Metro Now.
All right. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. So finally, the day we've been waiting for came yesterday with the launch, the official launch of Metro Now. We were very, very, very excited about that. The staff was present at Metro Now at 5 a.m. They brought donuts and coffee for the drivers and the other staff there as well. And the service started at 6 a.m. For the entire day. We did have a glitch for about 25 minutes between 6:30 and 6:55, but VIA took care of that, our vendor. We had VIA staff on site at here at in Cincinnati and Springdale area, as well as VIA technical staff live via Zoom from 5 a.m., which is 2 a.m. their time on the West Coast. They were on the call the entire day just to make sure that everything's running smooth. They did a great job. The staff, the drivers, call takers, I mean, everybody that did an exceptional job first day. The first day we carried 11 trips. Those are legit trips, excluding our staff trips and test trips, which is not a bad number for day one. I think by 7:15, 7:20 this morning we had 2 trips completed, so that's a good thing. I think last month the board asked to have a demo about the app and how it works, so we have that. And Matt Morman, who's the deputy project manager on Metro Now, is gonna go through that. And if you have any questions, he'll be more than happy to answer.
Question before you move into that. So 11 trips yesterday. What's our target?
I have to get back with you on that one. Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head.
And then I know I asked him, maybe we could follow it. When we had the glitch, which I know, unfortunately, IT happens, right? But it'd be great if we knew anybody that tried to get a hold of us at that point and got the message that service wasn't available and reached back out if we could, right? Just to say so.
Just one other quick question. Are those vehicles stationary in between trips? Are they sort of, what's the vehicle doing in times when it's not between trips? It's just parked?
Sure. Yeah. So each of these zones, I mean, we started one zone yesterday. Each zone has 2 points where the vehicles will go to nest if they're not performing trips. Yeah. Matt?
All right, so we've got a couple of videos here just to kind of walk you through the app itself. So go ahead and play. So first, depending on whether you have an Android or an iPhone, you'll select your appropriate app store. You'll search for Metro Now On Demand, and you'll see the beautiful logo there on our Metro Now On Demand app. Of course, download that to your phone, and once it's downloaded, you'll launch the app. If you don't have an account set up already, it'll welcome you and say, hey, get started. You'll see a great screenshot of our vehicle there. It's going to ask you for your phone number since your your account is linked to your phone. Enter your phone number, and it will send you, you're probably used to this, you'll get like a text message to verify it's really your phone number with a code. You enter that code into the box here. Once you do that, it's going to ask you just for a couple of details about you. What's your name, first, last, and your email address. And then it will ask you to check the box to opt into receiving marketing and or other promotional information from Metro. Sorry, this is a video, so it takes a second. I'm sure you all type much faster than that on your phone. So once you've got all your information in there, check the box to agree, and then you'll hit next. I believe that takes us to the next video. So once you've got your account all set up, you're ready to start booking rides. So you'll be prompted to select your default payment type. So if you want to pay cash, we have fare boxes on our vehicles, or you can pay through our Easy Fare app, which is the same app that we use on a fixed route. You can use a credit or debit card there. It's going to ask you if you want to allow notifications, so we can let you know when your vehicle is arriving or when it's on its way. So then you will select your pickup point. There's 3 ways to do that. First, you can allow the GPS on your phone to pinpoint where you are at this exact time in the zone, or you can type in an address or point of interest just like you would on Google. So if you're at Target or if you're at Kroger, you can just type in the business names. Or as you're seeing on the screen now, you can move the map around with your finger and drop the pin exactly where you want to be picked up. And then the same way for your destination, again, you can either type in an address or a point of interest, or you can drop a pin on the map. Then if you would like to change your payment type, you're not locked into which one you selected at your profile, you can change that for each ride. And then you select either less waiting or less walking. So, and this is going to continue to play here for a minute, but I just want to describe. So the difference between the two is we have something called corner to corner, or we have curb to curb. So less waiting, which is corner to corner, means, hey, I'm willing to walk down to the main intersection or a main road so that the vehicle doesn't have to deviate so far and it can pick me up sooner, right? Less waiting, right? Or you can choose less walking. That says, no, I don't really want to walk all the way down to the end of the street. I want you to come pick me up here. So your ETA, or your estimated time of arrival for your vehicle, might just be a little longer because that vehicle has to deviate and go out of its way just a little bit. So we give our customers that option on each trip that they take. And I probably missed it. It was there it is. Thank you. You can also add other passengers to your trip. You can say, I've got my friends coming with me. I've got an extra rider in a mobility device. And we also offer 2 children can ride free that are under 35 inches tall with every paying adult. And the system knows the capacity of each vehicle, how many people can fit on the vehicle, and make sure that there's capacity before it gives you a proposal for a ride. As you see here, it will tell you, hey, we can get you in 10 minutes, and your total fare is going to be $4. If you choose to accept that proposal, you hit book this ride, and it will go ahead and process your request, send it to a driver. The driver has an app in their vehicle as well. They'll be alerted, hey, you've got a ride, head to this location. And just like Uber, you'll actually see the vehicle on the map heading your direction. So. All right. There we go. It gives you a vehicle number and the picture of the vehicle, and also lets you know the first name of your driver that will be picking you up. All right. And on the next one, so similar, as I mentioned, similar to Uber, you can track your ride. There's also some things in the menu that you can do inside the app. You can, load here. You can update your account details if you need to do that, change your password, update any travel details. You can also access the Metro Now webpage directly from the app if you have any questions or just want to know anything about it. All of our FAQs are there. As you can see, it takes you right to the mobile version of our website. You can also contact us directly through the app. You can either call the 551-5555. I think that's the number of 5s. It will connect you directly with our dispatcher at the access facility. If you have any questions or if you need to book your ride, if you don't have a smartphone or whatever reason, you can call that number and you can still book a ride. You can also send an email to us. It links directly to our customer service. And there's also a link there that you can share the app with a friend. You can do that through an email, text messaging, or AirDrop, things of that nature. So. And then the last one on the next slide is just at the end of your ride. Again, if you've used Uber or Lyft, you'll see this. It pops up, hey, we want to know how was your ride. You can rate that on a scale of up to 5 stars. And it's going to say, hey, tell us the best part about your ride. So you can select as many of those as you like. I think that's it. Any questions about the app?
Yeah, this is great. Thank you for the presentation. So I've got one very simple question and then one that's more involved. So our Wi-Fi address here, what's our password to get in? Do you know?
I was trying to get the
in
app.
the
I'll
building
get
here?
that later on. But
as we push this out in these different territories, like last night I was at a city council meeting, and this was a pretty cool topic that came up. But have we considered going to those jurisdictions and
giving a show and tell just like this and having them sign up at that sort of meeting. Is that something we do at SORTA or not?
Absolutely, yes, we can.
Well, I get two questions there.
Yep.
Have we done it? And
Specifically, I'm not sure which ones we've done already. I know we have a couple coming up that we've been asked to do, so.
You have?
For Forest
Okay.
Park, yes.
Okay. It could be a good, just good PR for us, right, as we're launching this in their jurisdictions. And a great way to spread the word, other than
Anything has
traditional
come?
marketing.
If I may, we have gone out to all of the communities that we've launched in. So we've done both the Springdale and already done some pre-planning for the Northgate Mount Healthy Zone. And we have gone to every library, grocery store, community rec center, and other shopping centers in those communities. We parked a vehicle. We've invited the public to come, get on board, check it out, learn how the app works, learn more about the service, in addition to some of those community centers and council meetings that would have us, and we've added things in their newsletters and so forth. So we've done a great deal of effort to reach out to all of those communities, let them know that the service is coming. Additionally, in the marketing and promo side, each of those communities have big billboards up in those areas. There's digital ads. We have some direct mail pieces going to every resident in those zip codes. Those will be going out in the next week, over next cycle, a few weeks, to each resident, letting them know that this is in their area and with a QR code to download the app. So we have a lot of things in store, both in the outreach and in the paid advertising space, to create more awareness about the service.
And if there are any meetings that you'd like us to be at, we're happy to go out to any meeting that you guys
Oh, that's
would like
perfect.
us
I
to
knew we were
do.
pushing out in a big way. I've seen the billboards all over
Yeah.
the place, and it's great. I just was curious if we went to the council meetings too. That's all. But
Very, very nice. I love the presentation, and that's going to be available for people. The question I have is the less time walking and less time waiting. Is that clear enough for people? Like if you select it, will it give you an example or a rationale as to why you're choosing that one over the other one?
So it doesn't give you a rationale, but what it does, it will actually show you on the map where your pickup will be. So it says you're here, you need to walk here. For example, I'll give you a perfect example. Yesterday we did have a customer who works up near what used to be the Tri-County Mall. He selected less waiting, and so the vehicle was routed to pick up at a main intersection. And so it showed him that he had to walk from where he was working to that main intersection. So he actually had called to ask that question just to make sure it's one of those. It's going to take a little bit of time for folks to understand like what it's showing you to do, but it does show you where your current location is and where you need to go.
Something as simple as a one-liner above each of those buttons saying something, or you select on either to find the closest stop or pickup or something like that. It can clear up a lot of that confusion, because I do believe that there would be quite a few different calls, especially once you get, in the senior population. So they're not confused, but this is great.
yeah, I guess we can monitor that, right? And as we get questions, we'll improve the service. I guess Daryl suggested that I can ride for free for the 35 inches, but that's not true. Do we know
Daryl did not.
on the 11 trips? I'll be interested to see how many of those trips end up being shared versus independent. I'm assuming we're monitoring that or have a way to do so.
Yes, we do. Yes.
Right.
So for someone who is using, just the phone to call and ask for a ride, does that person just call and say, "Here's where I am," and then they hang up and they're told where to go, or the vehicle will come to them, and then I don't know what
Sure,
would happen
absolutely.
next. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. So a customer that would call, the dispatcher would actually create an account for them.
Okay.
If you just didn't happen to have your phone with you, or for whatever reason it wasn't available, you can still create an account on the app later and link it to the account that the dispatcher creates for you. So you don't have duplicate accounts. But the dispatcher will tell you exactly where to go. Their screen's a little bit different than what the customer sees on the Rider app. The dispatcher has a little bit more information and can tell the customer exactly where they need to go. And they'll verify, of course, everything over the phone. You're by the Starbucks, right? Yes. Okay, that's where I've got you. Going to be picked up. If they don't have a smartphone, but they just have a regular flip phone or anything like that, they can still get text messages that will let them know their vehicle is on the way.
Okay. Thanks.
What are the hours of the service again?
So weekdays, we start at 6 a.m. until 8 p.m., and weekends, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m.
What's the age?
So the age to ride, it mimics our paratransit rules per FTA, which is 8 and under require an adult to go with them, or a caretaker.
If you use the easy
Easy fare.
would it just transfer all your information over?
So right now, it's a separate thing. We're working on an integration right now. Hopefully by the time we launch the other 4 zones, that will be integrated, where when you book your trip, you'll be able to select Easy Fare. It will connect you directly to your account in Easy Fare. If you've already got your wallet set up or you already have tickets purchased, you can just activate them when your vehicle gets there. That's not active just yet. Currently, you still have to go in and purchase that separately.
And one, I just want to say congratulations. I've had people who just thought this was amazing. I echo also what Chelsea said earlier. I was going to ask the same question. And then my last question, I apologize because I haven't been out. Is there a pro forma on this line of business that you have somewhere? Do we know what we're expecting in terms of our expenses for this, what our return's going to be on this, and then if we think this is a good idea over time? I just haven't seen it, so I don't know if I can list it.
Yes, we'll share.
Yes.
Yeah, you missed it when we were approving that, but
Yeah, and the study we did have projected ridership, cost, level of service, and all of that. Sure.
yeah, so it's not meant to make a profit like most of what we do, right? Because the community is supporting it, but it's going to get there's a cost to doing it, right? But we'll get that. We can update that next time. Like if you have a
No, I'm just mindful as we continue to have expenses, and you say we're not going to make a profit, I get that, but are we prepared that it's going to break even? Because as Sonia and I were just talking this morning, like in a year, we're going to have a conversation about where is the money. And so I'm just, as we're adding all of these things, I just think it's important to be mindful of that. So.
Yeah, and that was certainly part of the discussion. We can, I mean, we'll bring that back up as we get into this, but it's right. We don't have any service that fully pays for itself because the subsidies from the sales tax and other compensation pays for it. So, but sure, we're mindful of it. I think one of the risks here is, yeah, if it's so wildly popular that we have to go buy 50 new vans, that becomes a problem too, right? So we're going to learn, and you're right. It's interesting how excited people are about this. So, but we'll have to be mindful, right? Always of being good stewards.
It's the reason that the first 2 zones are pilots, and we'll go back, we'll take a look at it, we'll make some adjustments before we roll the other 4 out.
Yeah. I think you guys approved this before I joined the board, but knowing what metrics you're going to be tracking during the pilot is really interesting to me, right? Whether it's ridership, trip time, who's choosing less walking versus less waiting, like just some of that stuff that you guys are tracking would be interesting to me.
And I think, just to follow up on Rod's point, I agree. We need to be clear about what is the cutoff, or do we continue, do we not? And we need to decide on what that is ahead of time. So if we have, great, because otherwise things will continue to limp along and limp along and limp along, and we don't make a hard decision. So.
Yeah, and so that was part of what we reviewed previously, and I know that was at every meeting. So we'll get that back out in front of everyone. Yep. Thank you. Awesome. It's exciting. All right. Larry, you're up.
Good morning again. The report that's on the screen now captures information that will summarize our April results. Looking at the statement of operation and turning specifically to page 4, I want to ground the group on our fare revenue and how that's been trending over the previous 3 months. We can see here that in the month of April, there was a very slight dip in fare revenue. However, attempting to give some context to how the results played out in the month, we expanded the presentation to the right to include the number of business days in the month. The number of total days in the month, and calculating from there an average revenue per day. And so as you can see there is a fairly consistent number that's associated with the average revenue per day, which has a direct impact on the total revenue collected for the month. Another factor which contributes to fare revenue is the number of weekdays in the month. So the more weekdays in the month, within the expectation that there's more riders Monday through Friday on any given day than there is on a Saturday or a Sunday. So those are two contributing factors that ultimately influence the way this bar chart plays out, with what appears to be a surge in March in contrast to April. Moving on to the next bar chart, operating expenses are fairly consistent over this 3-month period. No real comments to highlight there. Turning our attention to the summary on page 6, we can see for the month of April, total revenue came in at $16.4 million, which is favorable to budget, $187,000. Total expense came in at $12 million, favorable to budget, $365,000, leading to a surplus of $4.4 million, which is favorable to budget of $552,000. That is down slightly compared to the previous 3 months, but still ultimately favorable to budget. Ridership came in favorable for the, slightly unfavorable to budget for the month at 1129. Transitioning to the profit and loss statement, key categories capturing revenue feedback here. Total fares was $1 million, which is favorable to budget, $107,000 or 11.5%. CPS revenue at $392,000, which is favorable to budget, 7%, essentially flat. Non-transportation revenue is favorable to budget. Again, as we've shared with the group previously, the investment portfolio continues to come in very strong relative to initial budget projections. And then, as Sonia referenced earlier, county sales tax at $8.4 million, which is unfavorable to budget, $376,000. This is the first month, in fact, in a very long time, where there's been any unfavorability to budget relative to initial sales tax projections coming from the University of Cincinnati. And so this is a watch out. We have received, subsequent to when this report was put together, the February actuals, which show approximately $95,000 unfavorable for the month of February. So we're going to be maintain an optimistic perspective that the favorability or unfavorability in this context is actually improving, but it is still something to be mindful of as we push through the remainder of the calendar year. Transitioning to expense, wages and benefits, $8.7 million, favorable to budget at $122,000. Fuel and lubricants, again, leveraging our hedging strategy and ultimately the number of gallons used, was favorable to budget, $43,000. And then the all other bucket came in at $1.7 million, which is favorable, $313,000, continuing to reference timing of expense associated with outside services in addition to external advertising programs. That captures all my comments on a summary level. If there's any detailed questions, I'm happy to take those.
I just have a quick question. With the unfavorability to budget that we're seeing from the county sales tax, did they indicate some major contributing factors as to what's causing that? And then do we see any of the same types